Hey everyone, it's Mr. Smith here, and we are in week 3 of our new learning during our remote learning course. I can't believe it's week 3 already. Time has been moving by very quickly. It is also day 11 of our new learning, and we're looking at distances on a coordinate plane today. And our learning target is I can find horizontal and vertical distances between points on the coordinate plane. Now, horizontal go left to right, and vertical goes up and down. So we need to remember that. Distances, we also need to remember, are always going to be a positive number. So when we're talking about distances from one place to another, we talk about it in a positive number. We don't say negative numbers. Think about putting it into your GPS. If you're riding with somebody and you're trying to figure out how to get there and they put in their GPS, it is never a negative number of miles away. It's always a certain number of miles away, a positive number. It's never a negative on your GPS. So in your warm-up, first thing you need to do is plot points on the coordinate, or figure out the ordered pair for each point on the coordinate plane. Now, point A is down here in the fourth quadrant. And that tells us that we're going to have a positive x and a negative y value. So looking at this, we're going to go over to positive 7 and then down to negative 5.5 because it comes between negative 5 and negative 6. So this is how you would write that ordered pair. Now, if you put a space in between the comma and the negative sign, that's fine. I have no problems with it. It is just how you type it. Now, looking at point B, we're in the second quadrant, which tells us we're going to have a negative x value and a positive y value. So we go to the left to negative 8 and then up to positive 4, and we get negative 8, 4. Point C is in quadrant 1, which is the one that you guys use frequently in elementary school. And that is a positive x and a positive y value. So we go over to the right to 3 and then up to positive 2, and we have this ordered pair 3, 2. Now D is a little bit tougher because on the y-axis it doesn't fall halfway in between like the rest of them have, like other ones have that we've looked at. On the x-axis it does, so we go over to the left to negative 3, between negative 3 and negative 4, which is negative 3.5. And it's just above the 0, which tells us that it's going to be at about 0.2. So if you were to break this line down into fifths, this would be 1/5, which is the same as 0.2. Now, we're going to be looking at these ordered pairs to help us when we're figuring out distances today. So distances between points. So we have these 5 points on here and we have the ordered pair listed here. And we need to find the distance between points A and B. So point A and point B. Now, to figure out the distance from these, we're looking at a vertical distance. So you could always count these and it would help you, and you could find your distance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means it's 6 units between these two. The only issue with that is sometimes the lines aren't always numbered by 1. So it can get a little tricky. So I'm going to show you another way you can look at this. So with vertical distances, and they're in different quadrants, we can look at their y value. And remember I said distances were always positive? So this tells us how far from the x-axis these numbers are, or these points are. So A is 3 units from the x-axis, and B is another 3 units from the x-axis. Think of that absolute value that you saw previously in another lesson last week. So when we look at that, we have 3 units above and 3 units below the x-axis. So what we can do is we can take those two 3's, the 3 above and the 3 below, add them together, and we get 6 units. For B and D, They are in opposite quadrants. Now these are horizontal distances, going left to right. So for these, we're going to look at B's x value and D's x value. Because their y values are the same, we can look at their x values and tell you how far apart they are. So B is 4 units to the right of the y-axis, and D is 4 units to the left of the y-axis. So again, we can take the 4 to the right and 4 to the left, add them together, and we would get 8 units. If you went and counted these, you would get the same 8 units. Now, looking at our next problem here, says find the distance between the pairs of points below. So point B and point C. So these are vertical distances. We're going to look at where they lie on the y-axis to tell us how far apart they are. So they're in different quadrants. So we're going to say, okay, well, B is at positive 2, so it's 2 above the x-axis, and C lines up with negative 3, so it's 3 below. So if we look at 2 plus 3, that gives us 5 units. Now point D and point B, we're going to look at the y value again to see how far D is from the x-axis, and it is 4.5 units because it's at a negative 4.5, so it's 4.5 units away. And B is 2 units away, so 4.5 plus 2 equals 6.5. Now D and E are horizontal, so we're going to look at and they lie on the same, they have the same y coordinate. So we're going to look at their x coordinates to see how far apart they are. So D lines up with 3.5 and E lines up with 1.5. So if we take that 3.5 and 1.5 and add them together, we get 5 units. Now we need to find which points are 5 points from negative 5, negative 3. So looking at this, negative 1.5, so we go over to negative 1.5 and down to negative 3, and I've labeled that with point F. 5 units away, you're just going to count 5 units above, below, and left to right. So below, we can't go 5 units because the graph stops. And to the left, we can't go 5 units because the graph stops there. But we can count up 5 units from F to see if there's anything above. So we know it's 3 units to the x-axis. And then to get 5, we will go another 2 units to A. So point A would be 5 units away. And then if we look at to the right, we can go 1.5 units to the y-axis, and then we need another 3.5. So we go another 3.5 to point C. So 1.5 plus 3.5 is 5 units. So point A and point C are both 5 units from that point F that we drew on there. Which points are 2 units from 0.5 and negative 4.5? So we go over to 0.5 and down to negative 4.5, and we get point G. Now, 2 units away. Well, there's nothing above or below. That's 2 units away. If we go to the right 2 units, we would end up at 2.5 from 0.5, and there's nothing there. If we go to the left 2 units, so a half a unit to the y-axis, and then we need another 1.5 units, which would get us to point E. So point E is the only point on here that is 2 units from 0.5 and negative 4.5, or point G as I labeled it on the graph. Now, what is the ordered pair? What ordered pair is 2.5 units from A and 9 units from E? So, A and E, A is 2 units from the x-axis, and E is 4.5 units away. So, 2 plus 4.5 would give us 6.5 units. If I were to go closer to E, it would be the point would be closer to E, and it would not be 9 units away because 9 units is further than 6.5. Now, if I were to go left and right from A, 2.5 units, it's going to be a little difficult to figure out how many units, because these aren't lines that we're used to using yet, to figure out if there's anything to the left or right. So let's look above. So if we would look for 2.5 units above from E, or from A, that would put us at 4.5. So 4.5 is, so this point here is 4.5 units from the x-axis, and E is 4.5 units away. So 4.5 plus 4.5 is 9 units. And that would give us this ordered pair where point M is, which is negative 1.5, comma 4.5. Now, don't forget, you can come back and look at these on how to correctly respond on assignments. The one that I want to make sure everybody remembers is the Google Docs submissions. Making sure you follow this method, this pattern here, this flow chart. And if you have any questions or problems with that, feel free to contact one of your teachers. And our next activities. So you have distances between points, a Desmos activity. You're going to be finding distances between points. You're going to be doing distances between points on a line segment with Desmos. We're going to have a discussion, and then we're going to have a cool down, and then there's going to be an honors Desmos. Now, for honors students, there's going to be another video for you to watch from me, because there's something that I want to make sure that you guys are well aware of before you go and do your activities. So make sure you watch the video that I've included for you. Contact information is still the same. Our office hours have not changed. You can access them through Schoology, through the link. If you need to meet at a different time, you need to contact your teacher and see if they can open up a Zoom for you right then and there to kind of help walk you through. I've done it a few times with students. I know some of the other teachers have done it as well. Make sure if you want to send us a message, send it through Schoology to one of your teachers, either Mrs. Tyler, myself, Mrs. Langen, or Mr. Lenhart. And I hope you guys have a good time, enjoy being at home, and make sure you get your stuff done for the 4th marking period, your work done. Don't forget honors. You have another video to watch before you start your activity. I'll talk to you guys later.